Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As you can see by the title of today's video, I have the top 3 power forward builds in NBA 2K26. Now I want to start this video off with telling y'all, I think power forward is the most undecided position in 2K, let alone basketball. There's a lot to decide what's a power forward to you. Some people might prefer a build more like this, where it's like a Dirk Nowitzki build, meant to be a lot more of shooting and like really good for spotting up, and more of the old school stretch four, if you get what I'm saying. And you're meant to guard the other team's power forward while also being your team's power forward in the corner offense, bringing a lot more to offensively to the table, essentially. And you can still be involved in pick and pops, stuff like that, be good for spacing on the floor. Whereas there's a more modern or like new age power forward, especially in 2K terms, like the last couple of years, there's been a lot more of like the 5v5 pro-am super comp style of being able to guard the other team's center, because you want a more mobile player in the pick and roll defense rather than someone slow like this that's essentially a center. You know what I mean? Teams do not want their centers in the pick and roll defense. So a build like this is optimized for playing corner D. A build like these right here are optimized for guarding the other team's center. So whatever it is you're looking for style-wise, if you want to be a do-it-all, this 6'8 right here is going to be a build for you. If you want to be a pure lock back-end power forward build that's meant to be optimized entirely in defensive versatility, this is probably the build for you. And then if you want something that's more old school, I guess, if you will, or meant to fit a 5-out offense a little bit better, a build like this could be very good, and it's what I prefer on my team when it comes to the bigs that I play with. So anyway, we got these 3 right here for you, but this one right here, if you're really familiar with my channel, is the 6'9" block lockdown. A couple of days ago, I hopped on stream, had like the build heads of all time come out here and assemble, and we decided to try and make a better version of it, optimized for a little bit less block and being able to get a little bit more things offensively as far as the versatility comes. So we'll have a couple more like new age versions of this 6'9" 99 block lockdown right here. But if you want the old school version, I'll also show it a little bit later in the video. But let's start off with a little bit more simple. Well, again, I'll probably put timestamps on this video like a lot of people have been asking for, because I think this one deserves and really needs it, because some might not be interested in a certain style like this of a 6'11 power forward. So let's just get straight into the video. I hope y'all enjoy the video. If you do, feel free to drop a like, sub, if you're new to channel, noties, all good stuff, and like always, try to 1,000 likes. Now, again, remind you, this is meant to play corner offense and corner defense. It's meant to be elite on that corner offense, though. I'm talking the ability to cut, to get cuts on standing dunks. You can post up out the corner. If you play with a 5-out offense, you could even get this build the ball, and if it has a worse interior defending matchup, can actually turn it into the center, essentially, and go post-up mode with it. Now, it's lacking in 2 major areas. As you can see, speed and agility, and then some would say strength, but listen, I'm of the belief that that doesn't really matter. That's just my true blue opinion. I know I might lose a lot of y'all through something like that, but I'm trying to lead you to the real in this, to be honest. Now, remind you, with a build like this, the lack of strength I don't think is even going to matter, even if strength did matter, because the build style you're going to be with this is, like I said, corner offense, corner defense. You are essentially meant to just be in the corner on D and fly in there and get those rebounds. You're not playing box outs, you're not playing anything like that in the first place. So if you were questionable about something like strength being, useful, if you are someone that does believe in it, the role this plays already doesn't even really matter for that in the first place, if you ask me. Now, again, think of this as like a more supercharged Dirk. It's a better rebounder, better shot blocker, and better dunker, but still brings the shooting and the mid-range and all the post scoring to the table as well, and the pass accuracy on those outlet passes. So let's talk about cap breakers on this real quick. I want to actually send you over to this screen real quick, and we will show this. So as far as the cap breakers we're trying to hunt down early, we have a +2 mid-range and a +3 3-pointer. Now let me pivot back to you on that real quick. We can go ahead and show the, the video capture right here. The 3 3-pointer will get you to 88.3, and the 2 mid-range will get you to a 91 mid. Now, eventually with this final cap breaker, you could get to 92 mid-range and get Hall of Fame Deadeye, but this right here is going to be gold shifty shooter at the 91, and I think that's respectable. Not to mention 90 mid-range will get you the post fade phenom on Hall of Fame, and that's where it's going to be affiliated with anyway. The point is we can get these for a really cheap value of just getting 2 cap breakers to get 6 mid-range, and then for the 3-pointer to move us from a 71 3 to an 88 3, aka a 17 attribute boost off 3 cap breakers. So I know it sounds a little bit lame to put a +1 cap breaker when you're seeing all these great value ones before it, but then at the same time, it's not the most ridiculous thing to cap break an 88 rating to a 89 rating and a 91 rating to a 92 rating at the long term kind of play of that. So I think this is perfectly fine. You still get the Pro Sigs, LeBron is handled for days. You get the Giannis dribble style. You still have the post scoring in the bag. The standing dunk is there with that 90 standing dunk with the 1 cap breaker point we'll put on that for the goal rise up, the elite big man contacts and the pro big man contacts. You have driving contact dunks as well. And then you also still will have 93 block off 2 block cap breakers paired with 77 interior D to allow you to just get, simply put, gold paint patroller, and then Hall of Fame high flying denier paired with 83 vertical as well. So I understand this isn't everybody's cup of tea. The lack of speed, the lack of agility, it's not for everybody. But for those of you who are playing in a 5-out offense, this is a really beautiful build to have in your corner. It's an elite shooter. You can move him around. You can have him stop on the hash. You can give him the ball on the post. You can call him on cuts. It's a really amazing thing. Now, the lack of O-board makes you not a center. The lack of strength probably makes you not a center. The point is that something like this is just intended to be a power forward that spots up in your corner, and then for the eventual cap breakers, you could also put a +1 on the rebound to get it to 92, then a long-term play of +5 all the way, and you get 96 rebound for the Hall of Fame rebound chaser naturally. Then you even still have the ability to get elite pass act as well. Let's come back to the cap breaker screen real quick. Let's go ahead and give you guys the rundown on how that's going to go. So after a total of 14 cap breakers, and you can use your specialization for the shooting wherever you'd want on something like this, for instance, or the defense as well, because as you can see, we still have 2 slots for that block as well. So if you happen to specialize in defense, you could still make use of this build. So anyway, the point is that with 14 cap breakers, you can get pretty much everything except for the pass act. I just gave O-board as a potential long-term option because it was something you could put on afterwards. But as you can see, 2 midi, 3 3-pointer, then you could put +1 of each. I actually forgot to put the 3-pointer again. I accidentally did that in the last one too. So it's more like 19 cap breakers total, or 15 if you wanted to slot the 3-pointer right here after the midi one. Anyway, the point is, of a total of 5 rebounding, 1 standing dunk, 2 block, and then eventual play of 3 mid-range in total and 4 3-pointer in total, you can get it done in 15 cap breakers, which if you're starter 5, you can pull off if specialization works for any of those. Then for a very long-term play, whether it's for extra seasons or if it's for, let's say, hitting vet 2 or something like that, if you happen to ever do that, pass accuracy could be where you go next, and you'll be able to get your pass act to 98, and that would be to get Legend Dimer and Legend Break Starter. So again, I think this is a really cool build, but it's not for everyone. I totally understand. We'll move along to the next one. But for those who were interested in something like this, I play with a lot of people with this build, so you'll catch it on the channel 100% moving forward here. Even 2 of them on the court at the same time in my ideal preferred runs, because I want them in both corners. Corner defense, corner offense, symmetrical. They just are both there, and they're both a threat on cuts, post-ups, shooting, mid-range. Give them the ball. They can create for themselves off the rebounds that they both have elite levels of, and the elite shot blocking capabilities as well. I mean, truly, to have these be symmetrical is a beautiful thing. It really is an amazing build to have on the court in a 5-out offense paired with someone like myself that, granted, it plays a little bit more point center style, so it might not fit everybody's cup of tea, everybody's narrative to run 2 of them, but at least 1 could be kind of fire. Alright, so next up we have the 6'8 do-it-all power forward. Now, this is going to be a build that you can make at small forward, you can make it at power forward, you can make it at center if you would like as well. This right here, as we skip to the cap breaker screen, because once again, when you see these non-cap breaker builds, they look really questionable. And this has also been on my YouTube channel already, so if you guys, have been tapped in, you might have already seen something like this. You'll see on the next build that we showcase something brand new that we haven't really shown before, except for on screen. So anyway, with this one right here, however, it's going to be very do-it-all. We're talking driving dunk, standing dunk. You can meter dunk on the cuts. You could even still at, 6'8 as well with the 81 rating that we have right here. It gets the pro contacts off 1 and off 2 while still having physical finisher on bronze. And also, as you can see, the 85 mid-range, 83 pointer. Now, for the cap breakers, it really enables the defense of the build. And this is where the best value is for 6'8s and 6'9s that we've seen and you'll see on a lot of these builds moving forward in the video. So it still has all the good SIGs with the 85 ball handle, like even what you'd see out of a point guard for that matter at 6'8, and then also still has the Levine dribble style, which once again you would see out of 6'8 point guards. Granted, they might have like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 more speed of ball than this, but it's still very good for it being a power forward build. Again, remind you, this is still capable of putting the ball on the floor, catch, run, dunk, catch, run, midi fade, catch and shoot from 3 really, acceptably. It still gets sharp take as well. You could specialize in shooting if you would like, and if you do happen to specialize in shooting, I would recommend to use them on your physicals. Now, the reason this is like this though, this build was very specific with how the cap breakers worked. It was very hard to get the speed and agility all the way maxed. It was impossible nearly. So this is as far up as we could go on the physicals. If you have to use some cap breakers on the physicals, just understand it might be what eventually needs to be done. And the build might have to sit at like 84 speed, 82 agility, or like 85 speed, 80 agility. So it's one little knock on the build that I will say. But what you can do, as you can see, is if you use your +5 block and your +5 steal, you can get the block to 84 and the steal to 85 while also getting the perimdy in a long-term play as well to 92. So we're talking a real deal power forward build here. This is like pretty much what you'd see out of actual pure power forward defensive builds, maybe a little bit more block and I don't know, probably the exact same amount of rebounding, to be fair. And then, I mean, physicals are also very similar. But this build can throw outlets off of those defensive rebounds. It can obviously do all the things we were talking about offensively as well. And as long as you have the cap breakers on hand, you can afford something like this. Now, if you can't afford because of the cap breaker amounts that you have, what I recommend to do instead is probably go last on your Perim. So let's pull that up once again right here. So as you can see, we have some budget situations laid out for you. So with a 3 on your block and a 2 on your steel, you can get it to 75 block, which is good enough for 74 in the bronze paint patroller, and then 75 steel, which is good enough for silver interceptor. Now, I don't think that's really where you want to sit at, but I'm just saying if you were brand new to the game and have 5 cap breakers, that's all you have to play with, this is where I'd recommend using them on a build like this. And I think it could still be very usable for that matter. But where it really comes online would be around 10 cap breakers, where you can get your block to 84 and your steel to 85. If you happen to only have 8 and you specialize in defense, then it would still work out for this as well. And then even better for the defensive specialization, you guys will be eaten on this video if you happen to have defensive specialization, because a lot of these builds are enabled quite a bit by them more. It's just these will be decent. It's going to be more cap breaker dependent if you don't have the defensive specialization. Anyway, point is, with the +5 Perim, eventually you can get to 92, get on-ball menace, challenger on gold. But instead, if you sit at 85, you could have both those on silver. It's okay as a power forward to have that. I think it'd be a little bit more mediocre perimeter defensively, but it'd still be okay, in my opinion. And then if you do happen to specialize in shooting, like I said, you could use on speed or agility. That's where I'd probably prefer to use it, because you actually can use it on physicals, in case you guys didn't know that. But yeah, truly, one last time. I mean, the build, if you get sent on a cut and the pass comes to you late, the standing meter dunk will still be makeable. So if you're planning to meter it on the driving dunk, but you got hit too late and you go for the standing dunk instead, that's still there. Not to mention just in general to have silver rise up and some pretty good standing dunk packages, as well as the reliability of just going up with it consistently. And then again, to put the ball on the floor out the corner, I mean, bro, we can come out here and do some D-book, like the breakdown combos with the Devin Booker. You can do, like, you know, D-book step backs and stuff as well. This is loaded with dribble potential off the corner. And truly, I mean, if you even had to, you could play the hash if you really had to. Now, it's not great shooting. Obviously, it does lack the bronze limitless range, so you're meant to be in the corner more. But the versatility is on display quite a bit with this build. And this is even a good pass accuracy to have in the half-court offense as well. So I'd like to think this is a very well-created build and very versatile, but again, it might not be your cup of tea because you want to be more of a specialist, whether that is to be a corner, like we were saying with the other build that we showed with the 611, or the one that we're coming up with right here, which is a pure lock power forward, essentially. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to blaze through very quickly because we've already showcased this on the channel a lot. So for those who are consistent viewers of the channel, I'll just, like I said, just blaze right through this, or like I said, I'll have timestamps on this one if you guys want to check it out. But for anybody who's new to the channel, this is meant to be, like I said, a very pure defensive power forward build. Now, if you want to do the fine details of fixing up the build, if you go +1 speed with ball, that's 75 speed with ball at 6'9". If you go +1 ball handle, that's pro SIGs, 70 ball handle as well. The pass sack is lacking quite a bit on this build. That's why I wanted to make a revamped version of it, and you guys will see that in just a second. But if you want to be the elite defensive build that this provides, and having 99 block, 89 interiority, 92 Perim while having 85 steel, and the maxed out speed and agility, 86, 85, still have even bronze immovable enforcer and the elite vertical to enable you to get legend high flying denier, legend paint patroller, gold on the on-ball menace and challenger. And the beauty of the 6'9s as an on-ball defender that's still switchable onto bigs is that you can get stuff like on-ball menace, challenger in the tier 2. Obviously on the 6'8s you can still get lightning launch, but on the 6'9 you can also get this. And this will be eventually silver because you would plus the speed with ball up to 75. So you could still +1 lightning launch. You could +2 on-ball menace and put that on legend, and then +1 challenger as well and put it on Hall of Fame. Then you still have your specializations like shooting, for instance. That would be on something like set shot, if that's what you happen to specialize in. Maybe something like a +1 on Deadeye. Then boom, for your tier 1 +1s, you have things like interceptor, rebound chaser, box out beast. The point is, these 6'9s have elite versatility capabilities to them, and this one is the most extreme of them all, being a true blue, pure lock, pure back end, whatever you want to call it, power forward. Now, like I said, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this one because there are other ones that I do want to showcase to you guys. I just wanted to show you the cap breaker potential with that as well. Not really explain it too hard. I mean, the point is you're just going to cap break the block to 99. That's about as simple as that. Then anything past that is going to be either your driving dunk, your speed with ball, your ball handle, stuff like that. So now let's move along to a couple of builds because I do really want to start getting through this because there are a lot of different versions that we have of these. So first of all, let's describe what's the difference between them. This one, as you can see, is going to have post scoring. Now, it might look weird. You might wonder why in the world do you have that. The point is you had to have it to cap break your block all the way up to 93 from 76 right here, and to get the steal to 85 and the perim D to 92. This is an insane amount of cap breaker value that you have in your defense, and it enables the build to be an actual demigod in a lot of different ways. And essentially this build right here meets in the middle of the do-it-all 6'8 that we just showed, except this one's 6'9, as you can see, and then the kind of revamped version of the pure lock that we just wanted to get more offensive capabilities, essentially. So again, added the pass sack up to this. It has the 80 ball handle naturally and the 75 speed of ball, and then we still have things like the high driving dunk, the high standing dunk, and then the good midi and 3. Now, this can specialize in shooting, and if you happen to want to do that, it will be a +2 to your agility, and it'll go up to 86. It's like a decent way to go about this, but what I will explain to you guys is that the defensive specializations are very helpful when it comes to these 6'9s that I'm going to be showing for the revamp version, because they both spend a lot on the defense. Now this one, however, is more capable of getting the cap breakers easily. It's going to be cap breaking the 3, but it can't specialize in shooting because the mid-range is so low. Now, then we have a different version if we want to come over here, and then I'll go over to where Weeb, one of my boys that was actually labbing this with us on stream, ended up showing a version that you could get a high enough mid-range on the build and get the shooting specialization on something like this, but it's going to be lacking things like the post control still, the offensive rebound, but it could still do things like this is very deep stuff, fellas, so like let me just explain, because it's going to be hard to do anything other than just do it. So it's going to sound like yap, but listen to me, because it actually is somewhat important. So the block starts at 92. It's what I did on the other one that I was just showing you guys as well. Because it starts at 92, you can go all the way up to 97, and pairing that with getting 84 interior D eventually can get you Hall of Fame paint patroller naturally. Now, the thing you would want to do in the short term with this is get +1 block and goes to 93. That's good enough cap breaker value. You can sit there for the short term, but in the long term, it would enable you to get something like Hoff Paint Patroller and have useful cap breakers later in your build. But anyway, shout out to Weeb here, because as you can see, he's cap breaking his 3 up. This is going to be going up to a 79 3-pointer, still having the 70 mid-range, so you can specialize in shooting. You could use your shooting specialization cap breakers in order to actually make the build better, and because it's using the shooting specialization, that probably saves you the amount of cap breakers you have and makes it more capable of you to make the build. So that's why I wanted to show this to y'all, because I think this is more realistic to be able to be made, because everything else that I'm going to be showing maybe needs to either A, specialize in defense, or B, just needs to sit at a more mediocre level for the short term if you happen to not specialize in defense. So anyway, shout out to Weeb. If you guys want to make this version of the build as well, obviously check it out. And hey, if you want to see more stuff like this, I'm doing streams pretty consistently of us labbing the builder at the same time with my viewers, and we're able to come up with some stuff that's like, you know, cooking a little bit, and we're able to actually put each other on to some new intel. So shout out to Weeb, because he's one of the dudes that's really been putting us on to some good intel as well. All right, so anyway, like I was telling y'all though, this build is able to get a lot more easy cap breaker value right here. The only downside is that the mid-range is too low and you can't specialize in shooting, so you'd have to find something else to specialize in. However, it's still easy enough to get a lot of the cap breakers on this. So if we want to just go ahead, and I'll make this cut to this, but actually in the meantime, what I can do is show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So this is the O-board version that I'm talking about right here. To be able to get all the cap breakers you need 13, which you can do by starter 5, for that matter, without any specialization factored in at all. So, for instance, we're talking +1 block, +5 3-pointer, +5 steal, 1 perim, and then 1 pass sack. We'll go ahead and pan back to that real quick and show you guys what it's actually going to get. So, this one is, as we just said, +5 3-pointer, +5 steal, +1 perim, +1 block. That's the short-term easy value of this. You get everything that we would have pretty much desired in the first place. You have the 83 vertical to go with the 92 block already, and then the 93 gets you paint patroller, but 83 vert plus 92 block gets you the high flank denier on Hall of Fame. I mean, this is exactly what we want out of this top power forward style of build. It has the standing dunk, it has the pass sack, which we would +1 for that matter as well, and then it still has the 80 offensive rebound as well, which could make this playable as a center on the 3s, in my opinion. I think this is actually a good 3v3 center build while still being a good power forward build for 5s. So it's capable in a lot of different ways. It's just, again, it kind of sucks that the shooting specialization is something that you can't do on it. So if you want to make this version of the build that just loses out on the offensive rebounding and a little bit of other attributes as well, then you could use Weeb's version instead. But you could actually afford all of this without using a specialization cap breaker, and maybe it's something that you could use to actually start working toward another one if you actually were interested in something like that. Because, like I said, it's pretty affordable otherwise. But anyway, just wanted to put you onto that. And then the cool idea is the exact same thing we were just talking about with Weeb's build of you could put +4 more block to get to 97, and then +2 interior D to get to 84. That would allow you to get Hall of Fame Paint Patroller instead of just gold. But that's just a long-term play that we wanted to build in on the build to give it a little bit more longevity of something that could be valuable on the cap breakers for the long-term play. So then, as another alternative option that we have right here, is the post-scoring oriented one. So this one can specialize in shooting, as we already said, and when it specializes in shooting, you would then simply use your +2 on agility. The problem is, there's a lot of defensive cap breakers that get involved with a build like this. Alright, so with this one, as we were just saying, if you do specialize in shooting, +2 agility. The problem is, with the cap breakers, this is a lot that is required. Now, you might see it's like, boom, we have the +2s on the perim, you have a lot on the value of the steel and block. It was ridiculous how many things we had to do to enable this build to get 93 block off cap breakers. It's why we actually deferred to even doing the one with the shooting instead and just going with the 92 block, by default, because this was ridiculously hard to get all the attributes set up with. You had to do stuff like put post control on and the close shot being high. These are attributes that you don't need to have on the build, but you do to get the cap breakers. So there's a lot involved in this stuff. You really can't budge with very much, to be fair. Now, again, this is going to be a lot better off with the defensive specialization. It's why I do make all these notes and stuff for you guys, because it actually does matter quite a bit. So on this build in particular, if we go +3 block, that gets us to an 88, which would be good for gold high flying denier. It'd be like silver paint patroller. That's a decent spot to sit at, as well as +2 steel would get us to a 75 steel, which is once again good enough for silver interceptor. Now, I would still apply the same type of logic of, I still think going for the block and steel being maxed to a +5 each is the next thing that would be valuable to do, so that you can have elite levels of that with having 93 block and 85 steel on the build. You do, however, if you want the paint patroller on gold, need to +1 interior defense. It gives you a 77, which is good enough for the gold high flying denier. I think those are the best ways you can spend on the value possible on the build. Now, after that would be 3 perim and 1 perim. I say 3 because that's where you can get the gold on-ball menace at 91, and then 1 more perim is 92, which would then get you the challenger on gold as well. Here's the problem though, if we come back to that real quick, what you would run into is, that is a total of 15 cap breakers between the defense. It's 5 here, 5 here, 4 here, and 1 here. You can afford that on my exact set of cap breakers, which is the starter 5, once again, if you have defensive specialization. If you don't have defensive specialization, you're going to have to lack in one of these categories. And in my opinion, it would probably be the perimeter defense, and you could just sit at 90. You will be missing the very important thresholds, though, of getting what is affiliated with the badges of, again, gold on-ball menace right here and gold challenger right here. I think you could then play for like future seasons of season 3, season 4, whatever the case may be. But again, the build is very much so more enabled by having defensive specialization. But if you did happen to only be able to do the shooting, like we said, you could just simply do this, put it into the agility, and then you'll just be missing these last 2 attributes right here on that starter 5 bar. So if you don't have any of those at all in the first place, and you are lacking in the cap breakers, I would simply say, again, steel first, block second in those like thresholds we were talking about on the screenshot. Make sure you still add that interior defense. And I think 86 perim D just sitting there is okay. Like we were just saying on the other one, 85 is okay for a power forward build. You're not fiending for the 92. It would be ideal and nice to have, but you don't necessarily have to. Now, with a lot of these builds, I've been really explaining to y'all how the cap breakers work and stuff because it's very important. So I know it's a little bit overwhelming because I might be not even sitting here telling you what the build is good for. But again, I mean, it speaks for itself. It can go to the post. It has things like the gold fade phenom, 80 mid-range, 83 pointer. You get the sharp take. You have standing dunk and driving dunk on the cuts, 87 pass act for outlet throwing. You still have a decent ability to put the ball on the floor with a silver lightning launch, Zach LaVine dribble style, 80 ball handle. You still have good physicals of the speed, vert, agility. Again, I don't think strength matters, in my personal opinion. You still have the gold box out beast, 85 D board, and it still has the ability to have ridiculous levels of block, steal, perim-D in the long run. I mean, it's a great build. It just is very complicated with the cap breakers. So that's why I wanted to save it for last a little bit, so that you could understand this is a lot to take in, but in the grand scheme of things, this could be a great build. So I know this video is a top 3 because it really was 6'11", 6'8", 6'9", simply put, but you can consider it more of a top 5, I guess, because really we did show the pure lock aspect of that 99 block, 6'9" lockdown. We still had the alternate versions of the new updated form of it, if you will, that's a little bit more offensive enticed, I guess, of whether that's the post control one, whether that's the O-board one. Then we also had the 6'8 do-it-all and the 6'11 corner to corner. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope it wasn't too overwhelming on the cap breaker talk and stuff like that. And I still want to make videos like this of showing builds that are cap breaker intensive, because I think that's where we're getting at in this game at this point. Let me know in the comments though if I'm a little bit out of touch. If I'm planning too many cap breakers, like 8+ or something like that, if that's too much for most of y'all, I might try and revamp the way I'm going about some of these builds. But some of them are still very good in the short term, some aren't though, to be fair. And I think a lot of these builds that I showed toward the later end are a little bit more intensive and needed for cap breakers, but can still be okay with, like, you know, like I was showing you with those little +2 steel, +3 block situations and stuff. I'm trying to play out how I would go about it on a short-term thing. And maybe even as another example, the one that was using the shooting cap breakers but couldn't do the shooting specialization. I'm trying to break this stuff down for y'all because it's really important in terms of knowing how to get the most out of your build, yet the limitations of the build itself. I don't want y'all to accidentally walk into a catfish trap of like not being able to utilize shooting specialization on a build that needs to cap break 3. So I understand if y'all aren't really happy with the idea of like these 8+ cap breaker builds being on the channel as much, but for those who do have them, I'm sure people appreciate stuff like that because I can relate. It's something that I want to get the most value out of my build if I were making a new one, and the more cap breakers you have to, you know, kind of pull at, essentially, it's even more helpful. So anyway, let me know if I'm out of touch in the comments. But if you made it to the end of the video and you want to show support that you did, put 6.8, put 6.9, or put 6.11, whichever is your preferred build in the comments. Show support you made all the way through. If you guys want to drop a like, turn on them noties, all that good stuff, like always, tries 1,000 likes. Anyway, besides that, that's all for video. Hope you all enjoyed. We'll maybe drop the shooting guards one somewhat soon. It's the last one I have on the list. I've already done the point guards, the lockdowns, the centers, now the power forwards here. If you guys want to see the shooting guards as well, I'd be down 100%. We maybe even lab up something in the stream pretty soon before I drop that video, and I'll like maybe put the video list together, and maybe we'll lab up something nasty as one of the alternate options on that video as well. But anyway, on that, hope you all enjoyed. Take it easy, man. Peace.